What if love could change a nation? Across Asia, real couples dared to love out loud, and in doing so, they rewrote history. From the romantic streets of Paris to the vibrant lights of Bangkok, from Seoul's bold hearts to Tokyo's quiet courage, their journeys inspire millions and prove that love's power knows no borders. Stay with us as we celebrate the couples whose love changed hearts and the world. In a world where love stories often lurk in the shadows, there are some that shine so brightly that they are hard to ignore. One of the most captivating romances of recent years is the journey of Edison Fan Huyve Seo. If you have been following the conversations surrounding love, courage, and honesty in 2025, chances are you have heard of them. If not, let me tell you their story tonight. It is a story that proves that love does not need a stage to be real. Because when two hearts beat as one, the whole world cannot help but listen. Edison Fan, known to many as a bold and influential model, has never been afraid to express himself. He has a charisma that fills the room, a presence that makes silence feel more intimate. But behind that confident smile was a man looking for a partner who understood not just the spotlight, but also the quiet moments after the cameras stopped rolling. That partner came in the form of Huyve Seo, a man with a calm strength, a sense of stability that balanced Edison's fiery fire. Together, they became more than a couple. They became symbols of what it means to live authentically and love fearlessly. Their engagement in Paris was more than a personal milestone. It was a declaration that love, in its purest form, deserves to be celebrated publicly, no matter where you come from or who you are. Fans around the world saw the photos and videos that day and felt a glimmer of hope. For many, it wasn't just Edison and Huyve holding hands. It was the world moving closer to a future where all kinds of love are given space to exist freely. What makes their story even more compelling is how ordinary their love really is once the headlines fade. They share morning routines, arguments about where to eat, long walks after dinner, and quiet nights spent scrolling through their playlists. It's in those little details, the everyday tenderness, that their relationship becomes extraordinary. Because that's what true love is. Not fireworks every night, but the comfort of knowing someone is always there, ready to face tomorrow together. And here's my favorite part. Simply by being themselves, Edison and Huyve have touched the hearts of countless people everywhere. They've inspired conversations in families, in classrooms, in online communities. They've shown us that sometimes the bravest thing you can do is love deeply. And isn't that what we're all looking for? A love that is safe, true, and lasting? As we move deeper into 2025, their story continues to evolve. Not because of flashy gestures, but because of a solid, unwavering commitment to each other. And in a world that sometimes changes faster than we can keep up, perhaps that's exactly the kind of love we need to preserve. Something that lasts. Something that's true. This is just one of many stories that redefine the meaning of love in today's world. Edison and Huyve set the scene with their authenticity. But there's another couple with an emotional journey waiting to be told. So follow along with me, because what comes next might surprise you and maybe even inspire you even more. As the world seems to be moving faster than ever, one story slows us down and reminds us of what really matters: everlasting love. Shiba and Koji, two fathers from Japan, never set out to become icons of devotion. Yet by simply being true to themselves, raising their son, sharing laughter, overcoming obstacles, they have written a new chapter in the global conversation about love. A love that is timeless, sincere, and profound. Their journey didn't begin with fireworks or movie-like romance. It began quietly, with trust and companionship, and grew into something that both anchored and sustained them. In 2020, their lives changed forever when their son Ishin was born. Parenting is never easy. It tests patience, reshapes dreams, and requires courage. But Shiba and Koji embrace those moments not with fear, but with unity. Every late-night meal, every first step, every bedtime story. They are more than just parents. They are creating a legacy of love that will shape children's hearts forever. And perhaps that is why so many people around the world look at them and feel hope. In their home away from chaos, they remind us that family is not defined by tradition or appearance, but by presence, by choice, and by love. Looking at them, you can almost feel the heartbeat of something greater, a love that transcends the ordinary. It is not about perfection, it is about endurance. It is not about fitting in, it is about persevering together. Viewers often wonder, why do stories like Shiba and Koji's touch our hearts so deeply? Maybe because we recognize ourselves in it. We know what it feels like to struggle, to question, to yearn for acceptance. And when we see two people hand in hand gracefully overcoming those challenges, it affirms that love can indeed triumph. Think about it. How many times have you wished that one person would stay? That one person would see your flaws and still choose you? Isn't that the essence of love we all crave? Their everyday moments, a shared meal, a quiet walk, laughter echoing through the house, mean so much more than flashy gestures. They show us that the extraordinary can exist in the ordinary, if only we are willing to see it. And in a world obsessed with appearances, it's their authenticity that sets them apart. They don't need to show off, they simply exist, and that existence has become an inspiration to countless others who are finding their own paths to love and family. So, when you think about your own relationships, what do you cherish most? Are they the milestones, or the small, quiet moments that make up the real story? Shiba and Koji remind us that true love isn't about the noise, it's about connection. It's about waking up every day and choosing each other again and again. And as we close this chapter, one thing is clear. Their story is still being written. Every year, every smile, every memory with their son adds another line to the book of love they're creating together. In 2025, their relationship is not only strong, but stronger than ever, proving that love in its purest form is unshakable. So stay tuned, because next we're going to embark on the journey of another couple, unique in their own way, but equally unforgettable. Their story reminds us that love, no matter where it blooms, has the power to change lives and leave its mark on the world. In 2013, a moment took place in Seoul that echoed far beyond the city streets. Director Kim Gwang-su and businessman David Kim Seung-hwan stood arm in arm, surrounded by hundreds of guests, photographers, and curious onlookers. They exchanged vows in South Korea's first public same-sex wedding. Although their marriage was not legally recognized, its symbolic significance was undeniable. Two men daring to declare their love in a country where silence has long been the norm. For Kim Jo and David, love was never just a private matter. It was a stage, a declaration, a living declaration that affection and dignity should not be hidden in the dark. Imagine the courage it took for them, knowing that their marriage certificate would have no legal value, yet choosing to stand before the world. Some call it a challenge, some call it a performance, but for the couple, it was more than that. A promise that their love could light the way for others who felt invisible. Think about it for a moment. What does it mean to love openly, even when the law forbids it? Kim Jo, already a respected filmmaker, understands the power of storytelling. His wedding was more than a personal milestone. It was a story built for society itself. And David, a successful businessman, understands influence, how money and fame can challenge prejudice. Together, they combined art and activism into a bold act of resistance. Over the years, they haven't backed down. Instead, they've gone even further, advocating for LGBTQ+ rights, appearing at Pride events, championing the voices of young people, and not letting their stories be forgotten. Their wedding may not have been legal, but it was absolutely righteous in the human sense. And that righteousness has inspired countless others to step forward, to come out, promote, and demand recognition. If you have to take a risk to be seen, truly seen, for who you are, will you dare to step up? Will you dare to speak up even when the system tells you to stay silent? Their story is more than just romance. It's about courage, perseverance, and the belief that change often begins with two people being themselves to the world. When you witness their journey, you see more than two men in love. You see Korea at a crossroads, balancing tradition and progress. You see a wedding that is both protest and celebration. You see hope woven into every smile, every tear, every vow spoken before an audience who will never forget. And maybe, just maybe, you see reflections of your own struggles, moments when being true to yourself is the hardest thing you can do. And here's the beautiful truth. Their story doesn't stop at the altar. It continues every day they choose to live openly. Every interview they give, every event they attend, every young person who hears their name and realizes that love like this is possible. Change is possible. The future can be different from the past. And when we get past their breakthrough moment, it's time to meet another couple. A story with a different rhythm, but still shining with courage, tenderness, and the undeniable power of love. In Seoul, two young men have turned an ordinary apartment into a stage where love quietly proves its power. Kim Dong-hyun and Baek Seung-hwan, the faces behind Mango Couple TV, have never built their YouTube channel on fanfare. Instead, they film to capture the moments of life, cooking together, teasing each other about chores, or comforting each other on difficult days. What captivates people is not the perfection, but the tenderness of their daily routines. Their videos reveal something rare in today's digital world: authenticity. There are no exaggerated shots, no elaborate scripts, just the two of them, together, every day. When Dong-hyun fumbles with a recipe and Seung-hwan walks in with a smile, or when they argue over groceries before bursting into laughter, viewers see themselves reflected. And that recognition is important. For young people who rarely see same-sex love normalized in public, Mango Couple's presence is more than entertainment, it's validation. What sets them apart is the balance between vulnerability and resilience. They don't preach, but their very existence is a statement. Love deserves to be celebrated in whatever form it takes. Without protest signs or speeches, they are changing perceptions with each video they post. Their content reminds us that their very presence can be revolutionary. Think about it. How many times have you watched them and felt a warmth rising in your chest? That's the power of seeing love expressed openly. It says to all those viewers who feel invisible, your story matters too. In a culture where silence often surrounds LGBTQ lives, Mango Couple TV offers a gentle yet powerful answer. Love can be ordinary, and in that ordinary, it becomes extraordinary. Their relationship shows that intimacy isn't measured by grand gestures, but by shared routines. Preparing meals, exchanging inside jokes, supporting each other through stress, these are the moments that define their channel. And maybe that's why their audience stays loyal. Viewers don't come back for the drama. They come back for the truth, for the reassurance that love like this is possible. When you see Seung-hwan roll his eyes while Dong-hyun toasts bread, do you laugh along with them? That laughter bridges the gap between their apartment in Seoul and living rooms around the world. It creates connection. It makes viewers feel less alone. The Mango couple reminds us that change can happen quietly. By showing up, by being themselves, they challenge old narratives and offer new hope. Thousands of young people now have a different vision of their future, one where happiness is not hidden, but shared. They prove that sometimes the simplest act, turning on the camera to share their daily lives, can resonate more than any speech or campaign. And as the end story there, we turn the page to what lies ahead. Because beyond the story of Kim Dong-hyun and Baek Seung-hwan, there are other couples whose love carries within it the same courage, the same unyielding heartbeat. Their journeys await, ready to inspire, ready to remind us that love in all its forms continues to rewrite the story of humanity. In the heart of Seoul, where neon lights blend with quiet streets, a love has taken root. A love that would later challenge an entire nation's definition. More than a decade ago, Seong-wook and Kim Yong-min met through a casual relationship that gradually deepened into something unbreakable. They built a life together, shared everyday moments, and weathered every storm together. In every sense, they were life partners, except in the eyes of the law, where they remained strangers. For more than a decade, their love existed in the shadow of a legal system that refused to acknowledge them. South Korea does not recognize same-sex marriage or civil unions. That meant no joint tax benefits, no legal family status, no protection in case of emergency. But one issue hit them particularly hard: health insurance. In 2021, Seo and Kim made a historic move. They filed a lawsuit asking to be recognized as a couple under the National Health Insurance Service. Their argument was simple. We share our lives like any other couple. Why should we be treated differently? The court initially dismissed their case, a blow not only to them, but to countless others who saw their own hopes reflected in this fight. But they didn't back down. Against all odds, they appealed. And then something remarkable happened. The Supreme Court overturned the ruling, declaring that denying insurance coverage to same-sex couples was discriminatory. For the first time in South Korea, a same-sex couple had their relationship partially recognized by law. Stop and think about that. This wasn't just an administrative victory. It was a crack in a wall that had stood for generations. It was hope realized. When the news broke, it spread like wildfire on social media. The LGBTQ+ community in South Korea and beyond erupted in joy, sharing their stories with a pride that couldn't be measured in headlines. But imagine the weight they carried. For more than a decade, they loved each other without the safety net that most couples take for granted. Every hospital visit, every legal paperwork, every emergency, they had to navigate it alone. Their courage to come forward not only changed their lives, it also spoke to millions who watched in silence. Young people, couples who hid their love out of fear, parents who didn't know how to raise their children, they all saw a ray of hope in Seo and Kim's story. What would you do if the love of your life was treated as a stranger before the law? Let me know in the comments below. I want to hear your thoughts, feelings, and stories. Because this isn't just their fight, it's part of a much larger human story. Today, Seong-wook and Kim Yong-min continue to live public lives, knowing that their legal battle is far from over. But they have etched their names into history as pioneers of love and equality in a country at a crossroads between tradition and change. Their journey reminds us that love, no matter the obstacles, doesn't back down. It keeps knocking on the door over and over again until something breaks. Speaking of breaking barriers, our next couple took their love story beyond borders, literally. Let's travel from Seoul to another corner of Asia, where a wedding inside a centuries-old castle made history. Follow along. Some love stories come as quickly as a spark that ignites overnight. And then, some take years, even decades, to blossom. This is one of those rare, heartwarming journeys. 17 years ago, at a quiet high school in Thailand, two boys met. Sappanyoo and Porsch Apiwat had no idea that a simple friendship, which blossomed from shared lunch breaks, late-night homework sessions, and teenage laughter, would one day become a love that transcended time, distance, and even legal boundaries. Back then, there were no rules, no paths, no promises that their love would ever be recognized. But they didn't care. They had each other, and that was enough. Despite the constant changes in the outside world, political, social, they remained steadfast. No scandals, no sensationalist press, just quiet loyalty. And Porsch grew up together through college, their first jobs, the ups and downs of their careers, family expectations, and the never-ending question of, when are you going to settle down? Year after year, they were there for each other. Not loud, not flashy, but sincere. Rewind to January 23, 2025, a day forever etched in Thai history. On this day, Thailand officially legalized same-sex marriage, becoming the first country in Southeast Asia to take this historic step. Among the first couples to step onto the podium were and Porsch. Hands clasped, eyes shining, hearts steadfast. 17 years of love, patience, and perseverance had brought them to this moment. A moment not just theirs, but one that belonged to history. The world watched them in their elegant suits, surrounded by family, friends, and millions of viewers. The nationwide broadcast was more than just a wedding, it was a revolution wrapped in love. Their vows weren't just to each other. They were to all the gay kids who'd ever whispered, "Will I ever be allowed to love openly?" When said, "Yes, I do," his voice broke, not with fear, but with the weight of history. And when Porsch responded, tears streaming down his face, it wasn't just a personal promise. It was the closing of one era and the opening of another. A love that was once invisible now became undeniable, with the eyes of the entire country watching. Imagine them holding hands through 17 birthdays, 17 New Year's Eves, 17 Tuesdays, just waiting for the world to catch up. That's exactly what they did. And that's why their story resonates far beyond Thailand. What moved me most was how simple their love remained. They didn't need flashy gestures. They didn't need to prove anything. Their power comes from their presence, every day, even when the law can't see them. It's the kind of love that quietly changes the world. If you could witness this moment unfold in person, what would make you cry first? The look in their eyes? The heartfelt vows? Or the radiant, triumphant smile as the officiant pronounced them husband and wife? Let me know in the comments. I want to feel your heartbeat. Because stories like this remind us that love is more than just an emotion. It is a power that can bend time, reshape culture, and sometimes rewrite the rules. Have you ever witnessed a moment so real, so unexpected, that it felt like watching the climax of a romantic movie unfold before your eyes? Let me take you on a journey, a story spanning over a decade, the story of two men whose relationship captured millions of hearts across Asia. I'm talking about Mew Suppasit Tul Pakorn. Their story began almost 10 years ago when they were students. A lively campus event, music blaring, lights flashing on a student fashion runway. Mew and Tul, both looking for their own paths, met at a modeling event. It wasn't love at first sight in the Hollywood sense, but there was a spark. A quiet, almost invisible flow between them. They laughed, made eye contact, exchanged pleasantries, and from that moment, something unspoken began. Over the years, their careers took off. Mew was famous not only as a talented actor, but also as a singer and producer. Tul had built a solid reputation of his own in the entertainment industry, and throughout their journey, their paths were always intertwined. Interviews, performances, fan meetings. They never publicly confirmed their romantic relationship, but if you've ever seen them perform together, you'll understand why fans couldn't help but believe. It was the subtle moments, Mew's eyes softening when Tul entered the room, or the way Tul instinctively reached out to adjust Mew's microphone before performing. The small gestures, the shared laughter, the looks that lasted even a second. Fans noticed it all. Then came October 24th, 2024, a night that would change everything. At a live music event filled with fans, lights, and cameras, Mew took the stage. Midway through his performance, he paused, looked out at the crowd, and said, "This song is for someone very special to me." The audience fell silent, and then, as the melody began, he turned to Tul, who was watching from backstage, and stepped closer. The music surged, each lyric felt like a confession, and right there, under the warm spotlights, Mew proposed. No rehearsed script, no theatricality, just pure emotion. He used the song as a love letter, as a way to say, "I choose you." Tul's reaction? A mix of tears and the brightest smile. It was more than just a proposal. It was the culmination of years of shared memories, peaceful moments, and unwavering support. Crowds erupted. Fans cheered. Social media exploded. But at the center of it all were two people, finally letting their hearts speak. Have you ever supported a couple so much that their happiness felt so real? That's what Mew and Tul mean to fans. They represent hope. They remind us that sometimes love doesn't need grand declarations to become a reality. Sometimes it's built slowly, carefully, over time, until one day it's ready to shine. What do you think? If you were in Tul's shoes, standing backstage, listening to the song dedicated to you, how would you react? Let me know in the comments, because honestly, this might be one of the most beautiful public declarations of love we've seen in years. And who knows, maybe this isn't the end of their story. Maybe this is just the beginning. In the heart of bustling Bangkok, where neon lights dance across the skyline and television screens shine into every home, one man stands at the center of it all. Woody Milintachinda. For years, he was Thailand's most beloved talk show host, the voice everyone trusted, the face everyone knew. But behind the bright smile and impeccable stage presence, a love story was quietly unfolding. A story that would eventually break one of the entertainment industry's most insurmountable barriers. Woody met Akkharaphol Chabchitrchaidol, or Oat as his friends affectionately called him, long before the world knew them as a couple. Their relationship didn't happen on stage, in the spotlight, or in front of the cameras. It began behind the scenes, in quiet conversations, in shared dreams, in moments no paparazzi could catch. And isn't that where the most powerful love stories begin? Away from the noise. By 2016, Woody had achieved celebrity status. He had hosted countless shows, interviewed global icons, and built an empire in Thai media. But what really shook the industry wasn't another sensational interview. It was when Woody came out and introduced his partner of many years to the world. In a country where same-sex relationships are still often hidden behind closed doors, Woody's courage was not just personal, it was cultural. He didn't just share his truth. He gave millions of others permission to be their true selves. Oat wasn't a celebrity. He was a strategic leader in economics and policy, a man who lived far from the spotlight. Their worlds were completely different, but together they built a relationship based on mutual respect, intellect, and deep emotional trust. For more than 18 years, they have weathered changes in laws, social landscapes, and the public scrutiny that comes with fame. And through it all, their love has not only endured, it has grown. Woody and Oat officially registered their marriage on January 23, 2025, the very day Thailand's same-sex marriage law came into effect. It wasn't some big celebrity stunt designed to make headlines, but a deeply symbolic, intimate moment. Two men, hand in hand, standing tall as living proof that love no longer needed it to be hidden. Theirs is not a story built on flashy gestures or quick proposals. It is not the kind of love that needs to be ostentatious to be made real. It is a story of quiet perseverance, of choosing each other day after day, year after year, even when the world was not ready for them. And that is a love stronger than any film ever recorded. Woody and Oat's relationship has become a beacon for LGBTQ+ visibility in Asia. In an industry where many are still hesitant to speak their truth, they chose to live it openly, gracefully, and proudly. Their love has inspired young creatives, activists, and regular couples who just want to know that lasting love is possible, no matter who you are. What do you think? Do stories like this help shape how society understands and accepts LGBTQ+ couples? Share your thoughts in the comments. I'd love to hear your perspective. And if this story resonates with you, a simple like might help more people discover it. Because sometimes the most powerful love stories aren't the loudest. They're the ones that stay quiet. On a quiet Tokyo street under the soft nightlight, two women stood side by side, nervous, hopeful, and unshakably courageous. Koyuki Higashi, a former stage actress with dreams as big as the spotlight she held hands with Hiroko Masuhara, a dedicated activist who has spent years breaking down the silent barriers that surround life for the LGBTQ+ community in Japan. This moment wasn't about attention or challenging norms. It was about something much simpler and much more powerful: love in its purest, most undeniable form. Japan has always been a country of contrasts. Modern skyscrapers next to ancient temples, cutting-edge technology next to centuries-old traditions. But when it comes to same-sex love, the contrasts are even more profound. For generations, love between two people of the same sex has been a matter of gossip, hidden behind polite smiles and cozy family dinners. Recognition? It was a dream most people couldn't even imagine. But in 2015, Koyuki and Hiroko made that dream into history. They walked into the Shibuya ward office, hearts pounding, knowing the world might be watching. There, they became the first same-sex couple in Japan to receive a marriage certificate, a document that, while not legally binding like marriage, is a powerful symbol. It says we exist, our love is priceless. For Koyuki, who had played romantic roles on stage, it was her most honest performance yet. No script, no costumes, just the truth. For Hiroko, whose social activism has long been fueled by both frustration and hope, it was a victory she shared with thousands who had waited in the dark. The ceremony was simple but emotional. Cameras clicked, reporters whispered, families watched. And across the country, the LGBTQ+ community saw something they had rarely witnessed before: a mirror reflecting their own love story publicly. Their decision was not without consequences. Conservative voices criticized, some acquaintances quietly left, but their courage lit a spark. After Shibuya, other wards began issuing marriage certificates. Gradually, Japan's legal and cultural landscape began to change. And while same-sex marriage is still not recognized nationwide, Koyuki and Hiroko's journey opened doors that had long been closed. In 2017, their love journey came to an end. They quietly parted ways with mutual respect. But what they left behind did not end with their relationship. In many ways, it was just the beginning. Because what they built was bigger than love. It was a bridge for future couples to cross, a bridge for young people to realize that being themselves is not only possible, but powerful. Their story is no fairy tale. It is something rarer, real change born of true love. And even now, years later, every time a same-sex couple in Japan receives their marriage certificate, there are still silent echoes of that day in Shibuya. Two women, hand in hand, saying to the world, yes, we do. What do you think? Of all the stories we've shared so far, which one has touched your heart the most? Koyuki and Hiroko's brave act, or another love story that broke barriers in its own way? Let me know in the comments below. I'd love to hear your thoughts. Love comes in many forms, but the stories we've shared tonight remind us of one simple truth. When love is lived boldly, it can change hearts and even reshape history. If these stories touched you, don't forget to like, share, and subscribe for more. Thank you for watching, and until next time, keep celebrating love in all its beautiful forms.